Hey there. I'm going to be doing a new sort of series here that is a little bit easier for me to produce because so much of my stuff takes a lot of time to produce that sometimes I get super backlogged, and it prevents me from just getting on here and talking and sharing some knowledge and some information and some cool music that you might not know. So in this example, what I'm going to be doing is playing some random songs on my playlist and just kind of commenting on production stuff and pointing stuff out to you that maybe is stuff you could learn to incorporate into your own productions, or just ideas to set off little light bulbs in your head about ideas for production and instruments and orchestration and stuff like that, and any other oddities that strike my mind. I'll point them out and then we'll kind of move on. So first one that's coming up here is Un Uomo Solo. Some of this will be from my film music playlists. Others, I've shared this with my patrons on my Patreon for my title playlist. So this is from that. So I'll be doing some that are from my Italian or foreign film music lists, and then others from like pop and oldies, and just commenting on production stuff. And this should be pretty fun and easy and straightforward, and anyone could enjoy this in theory. So, starting here with Un Uomo Solo. Does that mean a man? Is that man in Italian? A man alone. I think I looked up this title. It's from this is like a Giallo horror soundtrack type of thing. So it's from a movie called Un Omicidio Perfetto a Termine de Leg. I don't know if I didn't pronounce that right, but I looked it up and it's like a murder within the limits of the law type of thing. So this is by Giorgio Gaslini, and that's not one of the Italian film composers that I'm more familiar with. There's all the Ennio Morricones and the Piero Picciones and the Bruno Nicolais and all of the upper pantheon. So this is not a name I've actually ever heard. So this, I'm guessing, is not one of the more well known. But there's so much music in that Italian film, genre from the 60s and 70s. So anyway, I'm just gonna react to it and play it. And this is like a 39 seconds. So this is probably just like a piece of the film where it's creating some color. This isn't the theme song or anything like that. Wow, it almost sounds like Messiaen a little bit. So there's a piano and a harpsichord creating this sort of dizzying vertigo type of thing. Then it's like there's a jazz drummer kind of guy who's just being asked to kind of play some fills and some hi-hat. This is clearly just a tension piece. Oh, glockenspiel and a flute. So one thing to think in mind when you're creating a piece of music is kind of know the palette you're going for before you even start. If you start this piece and you're like, I'm going to create a little tension, transition sequence in my, crime movie, and I need, a harpsichord, a piano, a flute, a jazz drummer, and a glockenspiel. I think that's about all I hear so far. That's it. So it created a great texture there. I can't say it's like a great piece of music. Some pieces of music, how do you say this? You can paint it with production and instruments, and it just sounds cool. If you were to take away all the production elements of that and just played that just on a piano, I wouldn't sit there and play it on a piano and you'd go, that's a great song. It's not like that. The production carries the entire thing on this one. So sometimes a song is so good that it transcends any amount of crappy or bland production, and then sometimes it's the opposite, where the production is so good that it just paints and colors and sort of paints a picture, but does not really have a lot of compositional value, right? But this is still a cool texture. I'd give this like a 6.5 out of 10. But mostly just for texture, just for the ambiance. But I really think that idea of just identifying instruments, of being, I need a harpsichord, a piano, a flute, a glockenspiel, and a jazz drummer. And like, that's a pretty cool little palette to work with there. You could probably make a nice little tune off this. I might put a stand-up bass at some point. I'm not sure if I hear one in there. Bones a little bit here. So not much to that one. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool, and definitely can learn about the production from that. And the tempo seems to not be steady either. It's always good. These days we're using so many click tracks and things sound so automated that if you can get parts to sound like they have more of a conductor feel. Yeah, it's slowing down. But it sounds like a piece of machinery that's like uneven or it's not working correctly or something. But definitely a nice little crime flick Italian thing there. So let's go to the next song. Oh. All right, I like this song a lot. Johnny Mathis, Chances Are. Okay, first, this is kind of crooner music. I'm a sucker for a lot of old crooners. You know, some of the music can be kind of cheesy sometimes, but I really love that era of American music that had orchestras behind everyone. And as much as we take that sound for granted as being so ubiquitous from the 40s and 50s, have you ever scored anything for an orchestra? It is not easy. And even if they're not playing difficult stuff, like to have the vision to sit there on a huge score of paper and write down all your parts, and it's a skill that's kind of fading away more and more. But this song is a really nice tune, and the first thing that grabs me is this haunting piano line. So first thing I do want you to notice there is just that piano and the engineering. It's hard for a piano to cut through. If you ever recorded a piano, you might think, oh, that sounds great, and then you put it up with the rest of the instruments, and you're like, why doesn't this thing pop? I always try to point out when I hear a great piano sound. And luckily this isn't rock music, because if you're trying to make rock music, it's even harder for a piano to cut through those, loud drums and guitars and stuff like that. So this is more of like a jazz ensemble or a Frank Sinatra. Not quite a full big band, but there's, piano. There seems to be a guitar, maybe a harp in there. Then there's like strings and horns and a stand-up bass and a jazz drummer. And that's pretty much it. But let's take another little listen here. Oh, there was a harp there. There's a guitar. Now let's listen to his crooning voice here.
Chances are, 'cause I wear a silly grin the moment you come into view.
He's got a nice voice. It's very smooth. One thing about crooners, sometimes it's just a little bit over dramatic with the vibrato for my taste, but I still really like his voice, and he's got a very fast vibrato. Chances are, 'cause you wear a silly grin the as opposed to like a grin the moment. It's kind of a really pretty fast wobble.
Chances are you think that I'm in
Check out this piano here, this chromatic descending.
Just because
strings come in.
My composure sort of slips the moment that you're...
I have this thing where I like to try to imitate people's voices, and it's not that I think I'm that good at it, but it kind of teaches you to like mold your mouth in a way that might produce some of the harmonics that are unique to particular singers. And like I said, I'm not thinking I sound like Johnny Mathis, but just me trying to sound like Johnny Mathis. If you're ever looking for, how do I try something new and want to break some new ground in singing, imitate people. Do your very best to move your mouth in a way that somehow gets your voice to sound the most like the other guy that you can. And so, I don't know. I'll try for you. I don't know how good I'll do, but I don't even know the lyrics.
Just because my composure sort of slips the moment that your lips meet mine. Chances are you think my heart...
It's really easy to go too much of a over-exaggerating. Chances are... He keeps it pretty mellow despite that kind of aggressive, fast vibrato.
That your lips meet mine.
Anyway,
chances are...
nothing mind-blowing about this production and orchestration, but it's just really well done. I love the way the piano is out in front in those in-between sections. The string swells sound really nice. Strings are joining that piano.
In the magic of the skies are in my eyes. Guess you feel you'll always be the one and only one for.
The big takeaway on this one to me is the piano. Can you make a piano stand out and do some really catchy high lines on the piano that kind of help create a secondary, character besides the lead singer? So I think it's a real nice song. I would put this on my playlist of songs I enjoy to listen to. Sometimes a crooner vibrato gets a little dramatic for me, but in this case, I can barely tolerate it, and he does have a nice voice. So let's move on to the next one. So we're going between like pop and pop history and oldies kind of thing and Italian film stuff. Oh, nice. Okay, Morricone. He is the ultimate Italian film composer. There's nobody better than him in that genre, and there's no one better in maybe film music in general. The guy has like 500 some soundtracks, and I really like his stuff that is this sort of catchy, loungy, offbeat, poppy kind of stuff with weird chords. And he's always using these harpsichords or sometimes acoustic guitars to get this really nice timbre. Bowed stand-up bass, I think. Could be a cello, too. Drummer. A wordless vocal with the harpsichord. So I think there's an acoustic guitar and a harpsichord in there. Sounds like an organ, too. Morricone is just such a genius. Strings come in. Drummer's doing kind of fills. Is it brushes drums, I think? Yeah, brushes. There's an electric guitar in there, too. Organ? I don't think it's an oboe, but it has that oboe kind of sound. I'm gonna guess organ on that. Wordless vocals is to me a very amazing texture to add, because it basically just is an instrument if you're not doing words, and it really allows the listener to stay, to not get distracted by lyrics, because so much music has lyrics and stuff that really pulls you away from the composition. And this is just a nice little tune. I've honestly, this guy's got thousands of songs, and I have all of these lists of my favorite. I have never heard this song, Un po per giorno. I don't know what that means in Italian. But the way he builds that out and has the strings come in the second time, and this texture of like harpsichord and acoustic guitar or whatever it is, the steel string guitar. That did sound more like an oboe that time, didn't it? Multiple wordless vocals. Morricone is just a master of making this music that sounds simple and nice to listen to, but it happens to be pretty complex. The chords are not super simple. They change around and don't do super stereotypical chord progressions, but at the same time, they're not like these earth-shatteringly weird chord progressions either. He is just a master of getting the listener, pulling them in with a nice sound and getting you to be distracted from the complexity. His music is complex, but it's absolutely not the point of the music. But here's another Morricone gem that I didn't even know about. I have these thousands of song playlists from him that I can't even get through them all or remember them, so maybe I've heard this before. Ooh, nice little ending there. Kind of fade out, but besides the fade out, he was already kind of winding down the instruments, right? He has so many songs like this. That is beautiful. I would give that a 8 out of 10. right now. If I listen to it more, it'll probably go to like an 8.5. Love it. That is awesome. So yeah, if you're ever looking for some moody stuff, a steel string guitar, harpsichord, strings, wordless vocals, a drummer doing kind of mostly fills, like a brush drummer, and the drums don't take over like they do in rock music. In rock music, we put our drums so loud, and everything has to come up and match that. It gets hard to mix stuff, but this allows other instruments to pop out. Then there's that either the organ or the oboe thing, that low bowed bass, and there's just some string sections in general in that thing. But man, beautiful, beautiful. What's next? Okay, this is Louis Bacalov. He was one of the main, specifically spaghetti western film composers. That's a subgenre of Italian film music, but yeah, he composed some pretty famous stuff, film music for spaghetti western. So, what is that? Some kind of clip clop thing? It's making me sound like, time is running out and we're gonna have our, showdown at our gunfight at sunset. First man, walk 10 paces and draw and see who goes down, kind of thing. Some reverb on that sound, but I always like listening to the reverb from these old recordings because either they were using an echo chamber, I don't know specifically in this case, or maybe sometimes some old plates, but it's always this really warm reverb that's hard to get in modern plugins. Ooh, listen to that picked bass. Banjo, too? The picked bass sound is out of control. The harpsichord, too, or a steel string guitar, I can't tell. It has a lot of sustain, so... Ooh, harmonica? Is that an accordion, too? Is the accordion doing the chords? Isn't that amazing vibrato on that harmonica? Man, they would get some amazing harmonica players on these spaghetti western recordings. Money couldn't buy that right now. Piano, regular piano in there. That bass, picked bass sounds great. And it's only really hitting hits, right? Sounds amazing. It's a muted, picked electric bass. Could be doubled, too. Sometimes I'll double a stand-up bass and a muted, picked electric bass. But yeah, this is one of those tunes where the production is kind of carrying it. It's a very pictorial instrumentation, definitely has a spaghetti western vibe, but it's not a bad song either. It's by no means just coasting on great production. So no, it's catchy, it's simple. Sounds kind of Morricone-esque, but a lot of those composers were ripping off each other left and right. Feels like time's running out. Tick tock, tick tock. That's going the whole song, huh? Just a little, a 2-minute piece there. That's cool. Louis Bacalov rhymes. I don't know what RIMES, and I don't even know what movie that's from. Sorry, but look that up. That's pretty darn cool. I'd give that easily a 7 out of 10, right? Just off its production aesthetic alone. But I think the song is cool, and definitely all this banjos and steel string guitar or harpsichord, I couldn't tell which one it was, the picked bass, the harmonica, just a very particular type of cowboy Italian spaghetti western sound so what I want you to take from these is just opening your mind to different palettes of instruments. If all you have is contact and fake instruments, at least when you're composing, set up your palette to have these instruments and think about what instruments you want in your song before you start writing. Then you don't get into all these headaches that I used to get in all the time where I'd write parts, but I didn't know which instruments I wanted to play them. Having ideas at the beginning is the best way to do it. It's not saying you can't do it later, but you are at such an advantage to know what you're going for from a sound palette wise. So let's see what's next here. Oh wow, the Supremes, Baby Love, Motown from the 60s. Man, this Motown stuff sounds so good. This almost sounds like Phil Spector, but then you notice something. It's not nearly as thick as Phil Spector, like the wall of sound, although it sounds like it. There's an amazing reverb on everything. Listen to the reverb. Is that hand claps or stomps? I hear a vibraphone. There's a guitar in there, a bass, drums. Listen to that amazing plate. I'm pretty sure it was a plate reverb. I don't know if they had a EMT plate or did they have an echo chamber. I'm not a master of the Motown production facts, but yeah, this is your typical sort of early 60s or mid 60s Motown sound. This was, I think, done in like 64 maybe. To make you stay away so long, 'cause baby love, my baby love, been missing you, miss kissing. Is that an organ in there? Instead of breaking up, foot stomps or hand claps? Don't throw our love away. In my arms now, don't you stay, need you, need you. Tenor sax or a bari sax? Wow. That is an absolute masterclass in production. It's not a huge sound palette, but it sounds almost as big as a Phil Spector wall of sound with about a quarter of the instruments, or even less, maybe an eighth of the instruments of a Spector session. But just the tone they get and that reverb that all of the instruments are sitting on that adds this sort of unifying glue. You know, there's a ton of these songs that you probably heard a million times on the radio at some point in your life, but maybe you never paid that much attention to the production. I am blown away all the time by songs that I thought I knew, and then I'm just like, forget about the song, or that I'm annoyed of having heard it a million times, and I'm just listening to like, what was it like to be in that studio, and then I hear all this stuff. But that reverb sounds ridiculous. Ridiculously good. I like the double vocal thing too. There's like a lead vocal, and I like how non-dramatic the vocals are. Is that Diana Ross, I think, on this one? The Supremes, and then background ad-lib. It sounds like a background ad-lib vocal is what it is. So you have the main vocal. Don't throw my love away. So some of it sounds kind of scripted, don't throw my love away, but then part of it just really sounds like, hey, just try something. But I'm so used to scripting out my background vocals and knowing exactly what I want to do, but this inspires me to want to write down, like, have an ad-libby single background vocal part that just kind of sounds more off the cuff. It has a very cool sound. It's not something I don't think I've ever done in one of my songs. Me like you do. I get this need. Ooh, key change. Need to hold you once again, my love. Feel your warm embrace, my love. Don't throw our love away. Saxophones are loud. I like it. Another thing to notice, yeah, saxophones are loud, is you don't always need to have a perfectly balanced mix where everything is sitting exactly where it should be. Sometimes one of the key components of a cool mix is like, that saxophone's too loud, or something's just don't be afraid to turn one instrument and feature it and just let it sit above a little bit. I love that background vocal. It's like very ghostly because it's not Sometimes it's contrapuntal. Sometimes it's kind of tying into the lead vocal and almost blending into it. It's very strange. Fantastic production. It's a good song too, but I think the production really lifts up this song from a 6 out of 10 to at least a 7.5 in my book. And that's one thing production can do. You can't take a terrible song and make it a great song, but you can make it sound good. And then if you have both components, like a good song and a good production, but this older Motown stuff, like the early 60s stuff, really has a cool sound that it does sound, like I said, kind of Phil Spector-y, but it's much simpler, but it still sounds huge. That session's got like 7 people on it, or the singers, maybe 8 or 9 people. It's really a pretty small session for back then, but sounds great. Let's see what else I got. A couple more here, maybe. Oh, geez. Trigger warning: porno holocaust. I have no idea. Is that a movie? So this is Italian film. Nico Fidenco. I've definitely heard that name before and heard some of his music. Pretty good Italian film composer. I'm just looking up what... I doubt this is an actual adult movie, but maybe it's the name of it. Let me just look up the context. Kind of a... yeah, real... Holocaust. What is it? It's an original motion picture soundtrack. It's not saying what it is. It's just a movie from 81. So this is, not 70s or 60s, but let's take a listen. So it's clearly a monophonic high instrument. And like an analog string. I can hear this being early 80s. It's not too cheesy, though, for 80s, right? Cool bass. An analog string and then a high kind of lead analog thing that's like acting like a soprano voice type of thing. Oh, then something low doing it too. Oh. This is weird. The name isn't helping. Porno holocaust. Oh, man. It's a synth bass, it sounds like. Sounds like it. Acoustic guitar's driving. There's a drummer in there, of course. More wordless vocals like we heard with Morricone, right? Wordless vocals are fantastic. It prevents you from sucking you into some lyric drama and keeps it more instrumental. I'm surprised that this doesn't sound more 80s. Most stuff you listen to from the early 80s, it's just like, oh man. And this is retaining some of that 70s kind of vibe. It's a pretty cool tune, though. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. 5.5, 6, something like that. I'd listen to that again. It doesn't have the aesthetic of that older stuff, though, the late 60s and early 70s stuff, but it's still pretty cool. Holocaust, man. It's got a good groove. That acoustic guitar is really driving it. Cool drum sounds, too. Definitely not real strings. That's definitely analog strings and that lead kind of thing that sounds almost like a soprano girl, but it's clearly an analog synth monophonic. Is that an electric guitar there? I like the rhythm of it. It's kind of jarring. It's like he told the electric guitarist, like, don't be afraid to, like, not play in time. Like, just kind of lay back on it. Pretty ambient reverb sounds there. We still got, like, 2 minutes to go here. Getting psychedelic with those ghostly ambiances in the background. Sounds like someone turned up the reverb returns on the synthesizers and just forgot to turn them down. I like it. Why is everything fading out? Why are the drums getting like lower in volume, but the song is not fading out? What weirdness did we just listen to? What? Oh, wow, that is... I'd have to analyze that. That is strange. Because the drums are still in. But they clearly got turned down, like all the rhythm section did. Are they going to turn them back up? Wow. Like a pedal steel guitar or something? It's definitely got a weird timing to that guitar. Very loose. And that's good for not everything to always be so locked in rhythmically. Some things have to float and do things that stretch the listener's perception of rhythm a little bit. When everyone's playing just right on time, it can sound boring. Definitely relaxed on that guitar. That is a strange one. I like, I'm going to get to, yeah, that's easily going up to a 6.5, almost a 7, because of that weird idea of starting to fade out the rhythm section halfway through the song, but you don't fully fade them out, and then you keep the melody instruments in and don't fade those out at all. What kind of strange idea is that? Write that one down and try to copy that. So, this whole thing about copying, I like to take devices that I hear in songs and then try to incorporate that in your own song. No one's going to know if you did that. Oh, you got that from P. Holocaust by Nico Fidenko. There's not that much new under the sun. All you can really do is learn things, kind of play with them, and then make your own thing out of them. But don't be so afraid of that idea of copying. Everything is mimicking in some degree or another. So you'll naturally add your own style to things anyway. So you're just taking little ideas or devices and kind of writing them down and seeing, what sticks to the wall, what might work for your song, what's going to be a brand new idea that's going to help bring your song to the next level, something you just didn't quite think of yourself. And, there's nothing like listening to old Italian soundtracks to find some strange ideas. I'll tell you that much. So I think, was there one more song here or none or two? Let me see. Okay, it's another Morricone song, Una Strana Ragazza. Oh my gosh. Okay, and this is a similar genre of that. Morricone has like at least 5 subgenres of Italian. He's got spaghetti western, he's got this sort of erotica, slow thing, he's got some like horror-y kind of stuff, he's got some like regular kind of orchestral cinema, he's got some like erotic lounge music. So I don't know what this one even falls at. It's kind of that loungy vibe. But again, he's using... Actually, let's start by listening to just the strange chords that he starts with. 1 to 4. He finds his way into different keys very quickly. And that's one thing he does a lot, is tricks you by doing very similar rhythms in the melody or the plucking instruments that just make you think like, oh, it's just the same thing over and over. And meanwhile, underneath of it is these chords that are changing. So let's try to pick out, is that a piano? Something else is plucking with the piano. I can't tell what it is. It's a bass, drummer, string swells too. Might be a harpsichord again. Harpsichord and guitar maybe together, or piano and harpsichord. I can't even tell. Ooh, do you hear that slow down there? That's a great idea, is to slow down right away. Make your songs breathe by adding tempo changes in. Don't be afraid. They were not using click tracks in these days, so there's probably a conductor. Nice amount of breath there with bass, stand-up bass. Nice. Break it down to just the stand-up bass. Why not? Harpsichord. Vibraphone in there. Strings. A lot of nice breath in this composition. Brushes. Stand-up bass. Very strange chords there for a second. Some horns, or is that all strings? I think there's some horns or woodwinds in there too. 2, 3. Goes into 3 and then slows down a little bit. 2, 3, 1. Nice piano sound, huh? There's 2 piano parts or something. Huh. It's probably a guitar, huh? Or a banjo or something? I can't tell it's through that strumming. Morricone's music is so beautiful and simple sounding too. It's just the really, really nice. Another song I didn't like. It's not, it's a great song. It's not one of his better ones. I'll give it at least a 6.5, maybe a 7. But he's got a lot of 9s and 9.5s. I don't give anything a 10. Only From the Mouth of God is a direct 10. But 9, and I will give things a 9.5. So that'll probably be a 7, 6.5, 7 in my book. Let's see. Okay, this is an oldie from a group called the Enchanters, and sometimes you find these relics where I don't know what they were recording with in the 50s. It just sounds strange. I don't know, were they putting it through some weird speaker, some weird microphone, but what is this sound from this guitar? A weird wood block in the background that only sounds like it's going through reverb only. Piano. I need your love so much, yeah. Very drowned lead vocal sound. Drowned in reverb. Each time I look at you, I don't know about you, that sounds very strange to me. I don't know what to do, no. You can hear it's trying to be this kind of normal rock kind of doo-wop-y thing, but for some reason, and the particular engineering tones that they got, to me, makes it sound almost psychedelic, even though if you heard them just playing the instruments live, it just sounds like a pretty typical 50s type of thing. Just some of it's just something about it just sounds underwater to me. Very cool. And it's definitely bordering on psychedelic, but I don't think that's what they were going for. Ooh, a different key. You are my desire. Is that guitar? Surf guitar type of thing? I like how there's like almost no drums in this song. It's just that percussion thing. That reverbed out wood block is not helping to make it sound more normal. It goes to like a honky-tonk thing. Yeah, I like looking for inspiration in strange places for songs. I might have a regular kind of 50s tune, and I might pull this one up and be like, man, let's try to do something kind of like this. You're like, I want a surf guitar that sounds drowned out in spring reverb. I want a honky-tonk piano that sounds kind of far away and some strange echo on it with that weird reverbed out wood block and a stand-up bass. And I'm not sure if there's much else. It's not a bad song, but the production definitely, you can hear, lifts that a lot. If I just played that for you with a guitar and sang it, you'd be like, oh, it's all right. Oh. It's not a bad song, but the production definitely takes it up a notch or two. So I would give that a 6.5, somewhere in there. But without the production, we're probably looking at like a 5 or a 4.5. But yeah, it takes it up 2 points in my book. But yeah, strange relic of the 50s, and there are literally hundreds of those of just like, what the hell sounds are they using? And I love it. Okay, this is Samba Sarva by Pierre Baru. I know nothing about this song. I have these huge playlists that I've kind of curated, but it doesn't mean I know about the hundreds and hundreds of artists inside of them. I just liked the genre and whatever. So Sambo got the guitar, stand-up bass, wordless vocal. Pretty typical. The sounds are really carrying this thing. There's nothing like earth-shattering, like what a weird sound, but gosh, the players are great. And just the actual timbre of the engineering just sounds amazing. That little percussion thing, it sounds like I'm like 10 feet away from it. It doesn't sound like there's a close mic on that percussion at all, which I like.
Être heureux, c'est plus ou moins ce qu'on cherche. J'aime rire, chanter, et je n'empêche pas les gens
So that's
qui
gotta
sont
be
bien
French.
d'être qu'il aime en parlant, chanter.
So it's like one texture the whole time. So there's not this big evolving thing that we need to analyze, but just the actual timbre is great. Stand-up bass, got that probably classical guitar playing the samba, percussion.
Baden-Powell, qui a fait la musique de cette chanson
Piano?
et de tant d'autres. Vous avez mon salut. Qu'elle exprime
Sounds amazing. All right, last one. Patience and Prudence. Man, these girls are a gem. I don't know if they were in the 50s or the 60s or maybe both, but they have these really eerie kind of little evil doll girl voices. They sound very innocent and like I'm saying, there's something creepy about their voices, but it's very good. Like I really like some of their music. Tonight You Belong to Me is probably their most famous. Listen to that. It's amazing, but wow, a lot of reverb. And then they turn off the reverb right there as they go into the lead voices. So these little like doll ambient, bordering on Bad Dream kind of children's music or something. Very typical 50s type of groove. But the quality of their voices are they use very little to no vibrato, which I love because so many people use too much vibrato, and there's just something so uninflected about the way these two sing.
There's a little wheel turning in my heart.
I love the no reverb.
There's a little wheel turning in my heart. In my heart, in my heart. There's a little wheel turning in my heart.
Yeah, it sounds like this could have popped up right in The Shining, and these girls are singing into you in the hall while the blood's dripping down. But there's something really just innocent and kind of 50s about it. I'm trying to figure out when they were around.
And the little wheels are turning 'cause of you. Oh, the little wheels
They were
that
active from
turn
1956 to 1963, so that tracks.
in my heart, there's a little wheel that turns because of you.
I'm not going to analyze. There's a saxophone, a stand-up bass.
Every time you're near. Crash, bang, and ooh la la, I get a little.
You can tell they take a lot from that like 40s style of singing. I don't know what you call that, but that style of singing that was, Mary Ford and there's just a lot of that. But this is clearly in the 50s. Just eerie, really innocent sounding vocals, and it's a unique group, Patience and Prudence. I don't know, is that the two girls' names? Were Patience McIntyre and Prudence McIntyre. I guess they're sisters. Okay, I didn't know much about them, but that is pretty cool. All right, well, thanks for joining this first round of this. If you like this kind of thing where I'm just kind of going off the cuff, leave me some comments below and tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see more of. Thanks for watching.